Hi everyone, welcome back to English4-2. I'm Pat.
And I'm Adam.
And yesterday we started learning about Japan's Shokunin. I think I'm still pronouncing that almost right. But who are they?
Well, these are master craftsmen who have spent their whole lives learning how to create particular items.
They place great importance on quality and attention to detail.
However, it's hard for these Shokunin to exist in the modern world, and hard for them to pass on their skills to young people.
Yeah, this is especially true in the countryside because a lot of young people will move to the cities.
Machines are able now to recreate their work.
Yeah, so that makes them a little bit more like, do we still need this kind of thing? But some shokunin still influence modern business. We heard about a plush Pikachu toy made entirely by hand, which has amazing details.
Yeah, and people are just fascinated by Shokunin and will visit Japan to see them and their work. So today we'll learn about one famous Shokunin.
Let's check out day 2 of our article.
Reading.
Japan's shokunin are masters of their art. Jiro Ono is another good example of a shokunin. He's 97 years old and is a skillful sushi chef. His small restaurant is highly rated and only has room to seat 10 people. Each person, however, pays thousands of Taiwanese dollars for their meal. Guests who eat there must book their table months in advance. Ono teaches his art to students for free, sharing his wisdom. He informs them, though, that 10 years of training is required to become a top sushi chef. One student tried to make a dish 400 times before it was finally accepted by Ono. This made the student so happy that he cried. Ono started working in a restaurant when he was just 7 years old. He became a qualified sushi chef in 1951 and has put his lifetime into his work. Ono is clearly one of the best in the world at what he does. He still works hard every day, though, to further perfect his skills. Such is the spirit of a shokunin.
Here the article says Jiro Ono is another good example of a shokunin. Oh man, I wish I could really see a shokunin up live and in person.
Yeah, it would be very cool to see somebody who was that good and that talented at what they do. The article says he's 97 years old. I mean, that's just wow in itself, right? That's a pretty good age. And if you still work and still are doing your craft, that's impressive. But he's 97 years old and is a skillful sushi chef. Okay, so first we've got a word or two in here to talk about. Let's start with the word skillful. So skillful means the same as skilled, a word we saw yesterday. You are full of skill. You are skillful. And basically that means you have a lot of natural talent, probably with also a lot of experience, training and practice. You can become skillful. You could start out with no skills and learn them so you become fully skillful. But with talent, it tends to be a bit more natural. That's the difference between talented and skillful. Here's an example sentence. The skillful soccer player moved the ball away from 2 other players and then kicked it into the goal with the back of his foot. Wow, what a skillful play.
Going back to our article, we see the word sushi. Sushi is a noun, and it's a type of Japanese food where raw fish is placed on a small square of sticky rice. It's also very healthy to eat.
Yeah, I don't eat a lot of sushi. How about you?
I try to eat sushi once or twice a week, to be honest.
Wow, that's a lot. So we learned that Jiro Ono is a skilled sushi chef. A chef is a trained and qualified cook. So usually the difference, a cook is somebody who is just good at cooking. A chef is somebody who does it as a job and probably works in a restaurant or a hotel. We probably wouldn't say chef for somebody just making up simple rice and noodle dishes, like at a night market stand. But if they're working in a restaurant, if they're preparing lots of dishes, if they've had some training, we would probably use the word chef.
So in this article, we know Jiro Ono is a very highly decorated chef. Our article continues to say his small restaurant is highly rated and only has room to seat 10 people. Here we see the word rate. Rate in this instance is a verb. It's a way of judging something or giving value or worth to something. So an example that we could use is, that girl who just beat my sister in badminton is rated as one of the top high school badminton players in the country. She is that good, she might be ranked number 1 or 2 at the very top. So that's how we give purpose and rankings too.
So our Shokunin, this Jiro Ono, this 97-year-old skillful sushi chef, he only has a tiny little restaurant. Only 10 people could sit there at once. But as the article says, each person, however, pays thousands of Taiwanese dollars for their meal. So, and this isn't because they're eating like plates and plates and plates of sushi. It's expensive because it's such high quality.
So here we see guests who eat there must book their table months in advance. We see the phrase months in advance. In advance, it's used to mean to do something beforehand or ahead of time. So a lot of times I'll tell my friends to, hey, call me in advance to let me know when you will come over. Just don't show up.
Give me time to put pants on, that kind of thing. So Ono is a shokunin, which means he wants to pass on his skills to people. He's not keeping it to himself. And we see in the article, Ono teaches his art to students for free.
Wow.
Sharing his wisdom. So this is quite amazing because if you were really good at something, you'd think, well, I can do classes. Yeah. I can make people pay me to learn this kind of stuff. But no, he does it for free. This phrase for free means without a fee. You don't have to pay. He will teach you, but only if he thinks you're good enough.
So what we've learned so far is Ono teaches his art to his students for free, which is very generous, but he's also sharing his wisdom. Here we see the word wisdom. It's a noun, and it's knowledge that you have gained over a long period of time or a long period. The professor has devoted his life to the pursuit of wisdom for over 30 years. You could use as an example sentence.
So it's great that Jiro Ono trains students for free. He doesn't say you've got to pay me. I'll teach you. I'll share my wisdom with you. Wisdom, by the way, the adjective form is wise. We'd say he's wise. He has a lot of wisdom. So that's great that he does that. But what it isn't going to be is easy. We see in the article, he informs them, though, that 10 years of training is required to become a top sushi chef. He says, look, I will train you, but you're not going to be ready in a year or 5 years. It's going to take 10 years before you are good, basically. It's kind of that 10,000 hour theory. We have written about that some time ago in English for you. The idea you have to do something for 10,000 hours to acquire a certain level of skill at it. So you just always keep practicing, 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 and doing it. And this is what Jiro Ono informs his students or potential students. To inform somebody just means the same as tell somebody something. Let them know a fact, let them know a situation, some details, what's going on. But inform is usually used in a more formal way than just tell. So if it's my mom told me to come home at 7 o'clock, That's a casual situation. We just use tell. But the doctor informed me that my test results were back. That's a little more formal. That's the sort of situation you would use inform. Inform may often come from somebody who's maybe kind of more of a boss or a teacher or a professional, something like that. Here's another example. My boss informed me that he wanted to have a meeting with me that afternoon.
Continuing with our article, it states that one student tried to make a dish 400 times before it was finally accepted by Ono. Oh, Pat, can you imagine failing 400 times at something?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Usually talking to girls, but that's something I probably failed at around 400 times before I finally got married. But yeah, failing is part of life. Maybe not failing 400 times. I talked in our introduction in day one about writing and trying to be a writer. I've failed at that. I've submitted stories and you get a letter saying, I'm sorry, we're not going to publish your story. But that's normal. It's something that everybody has to go to. But 400 times seems like a little bit much to me. But in the end, the student finally did it. And we see this made the student so happy that he cried.
Yeah, after 400 times, I'd probably cry too.
I'd probably cry around 300 and keep crying for the next 100. And then, finally he says yes. I probably wouldn't even believe him. Like, you've got to be messing with me. You're joking. You really mean it this time, kind of thing. But all right, so that's how long you might have to practice to be a good sushi chef. But what's Ono's story? How did he become such a master?
Right. Jumping back to our article, Ono started working in a restaurant when he was just 7 years old.
Wow.
He became a qualified sushi chef in 1951 and has put his lifetime into his work.
Wow, I can't imagine starting work at the age of 7.
Yeah, it's so young, I think.
I guess maybe it was kind of like maybe helping out in a family restaurant, doing the sort of really basic jobs, moving things, washing things, putting things away, But then again, I think, well, I've got a 3-year-old and I let him like chop vegetables sometimes with a very safe knife. So
get him to work.
Yeah, exactly. Why not? Go and earn some money, sunshine. Okay. Well, we also saw that he became a qualified sushi chef in 1951. What do we mean by this word qualified? Let's check it out. So qualified as an adjective describes a person who has passed some kind of exam or an official assessment of some kind. Somebody has looked at their work, has checked it and gone, yes, you did it right. You did it in the right time. This meets the correct standards. And usually if you are qualified, you have some kind of certificate, like a degree from university, a stamp, a form that says, yes, this person has passed the sushi chef exam, something like that. You've got something you can show for it, not just the skills. You've kind of shown them, proved them, and you've been given some kind of certificate for it.
So we know that Jiro Ono has spent a lifetime honing and sharpening his skills, you could say. We see the word lifetime, and it's a noun. It's the period of time when someone or something is alive and living. I could go ahead and say, for an example sentence, during my grandfather's lifetime, he saw people land on the moon and the advancement of technology. So he saw us getting to the moon, 2 world wars.
Yeah, and lots of, the new millennium come, like the internet appear. It's a lot of things, yeah. And it doesn't just need to be a person's lifetime. We could talk about a building's lifetime. In other words, from when it was built to when it was knocked down, that kind of thing. Say, in this building's lifetime, it's been a library, it's been a museum, it's been a school, all of that kind of thing. So it doesn't actually have to be something's living time. It can be used in a little more of a sort of figurative way, just to mean the time when it's there, when it's present, when stuff is happening. So the next part, or the next sentence of the article says, Ono is clearly one of the best in the world at what he does. Yeah, and of course we mentioned he's 97, so we say he spent a life, that's almost 2 lifetimes improving his skills and getting better. And he's probably the kind of guy who's like, oh, I'm not that good, I'm still trying to learn.
Very humble.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I wish I could be the best at something, and hopefully in my lifetime I might be able to achieve it.
Sure.
Continuing with our article, it says he still works hard every day, though, to perfect his skills, to further perfect his skills. So he's trying to get better and better. Even at 97, he wants to further perfect his skills at doing everything in the restaurant business with the sushi. And
yeah, like, oh, I didn't quite get this like bit of salmon right today. I've got to go back and I've got to do 400 more. He's like setting himself that kind of job. That truly is an amazing way to approach things. And the conclusion of the article says, such is the spirit of a shokunin. Now, you might think, what is this such? What does such mean? Well, kind of such is being used as almost like a pronoun here. Such is meaning this is, or what we have just seen. So you might tell a friend, oh, I had a bad day today. You know, I got rained on because I forgot my umbrella. My shoes got wet and now my trainers, my running shoes are damaged. And somebody, your friend, might just say, well, such is life. In that case, such meaning all the bad things you just said. So we can use such when we're referring to what we just said, basically, meaning this is what we've just talked about in this case is the spirit of a shokunin. Now, when we use the word spirit, we're not talking about a ghost. We're actually kind of talking about somebody's character, their soul, their kind of the thing inside them that drives them to do what they do, informs their emotions, their personality. So what we're saying with that concluding sentence is this idea that you've gone 97 years or 90 years if you started at 7 and he's still trying to get better. This is what being a shokunin is all about. This attention to detail, trying to be perfect each and every time, never being satisfied that like, I'm pretty good now. No, he keeps wanting to improve and get better. Here's an example sentence for how we can use the word spirit in this way. Danny has a great spirit. He never gives up and always looks on life in a positive way. Okay, so that is our discussion. We could have, of course, we could do lots of articles about all the different shokunins and their amazing stories and kind of what they do and how they do it and what's going to happen. But we've only got enough space in our article just to talk about one. So that's all the time we have for this part of the article, but stick around as we do have our For You Chat question coming up next.
You Chat.
So today's For You Chat question is, have you tried sushi before? Talk about your experience, and if not, would you like to? Now, we did sort of mention this a little bit in our talk, didn't we? And you said you eat sushi pretty often.
That's right, yeah. I try to eat it about once or twice a week, according to all the health and fitness they say, you know, eating sushi is really good for your body and everything. And so I'm kind of a tame eater, so I don't go for the really crazy, extreme type of sushi with the fish balls and stuff like that.
The egg rolls and stuff. Yeah. Oh, my wife loves those. She loves the egg things. Sushi, I will eat some bits of it. I'm not a huge fan of just fish, so I will often get the shrimp and the squid and some of the clams, and maybe the eel every now and again, but I won't actually eat too much of just the pure sashimi. Did you have sushi when you were in Japan?
I did, and it was actually on top of a type of 7-Eleven that was highly recommended.
Okay, cool.
My wife takes me there, she says, hey, we're going to a sushi spot, and then we're walking into a 7-Eleven, but you go through the back and then you go up. Oh, cool. And it's almost like one of the shokunins where it's very old and it's very very wooden and just has that great feeling.
That's
and
really
it was
cool.
some of the best sushi I've ever had.
What do you think of I think of them as, it's almost like American sushi, you know, the California rolls with the rice and the stuff inside. Are you a fan?
Yeah, they're really good. Sometimes they add a little bit too much cream and everything, but otherwise...
Can be a bit sweet, can't they? They put a little bit sweet mayonnaise kind of thing. Yeah, I don't mind those. I feel like sometimes there's a little more rice and a little less actual ingredients. So maybe it pushes the balance of the meal away from quite so healthy towards a few more carbohydrates. But it's still, we mean where sort of rolls of rice on the outside and the ingredients are kind of on the inside and it's all in slices, almost like you've cut up a big whole ham or fish. You can get that in Taiwan. I've seen it in a few places, but not everywhere.
No, and that's also the great thing about Taiwan is that as an island, you do have great resources to getting sushi and eating delicious sushi at that. So maybe if you haven't tried it, it'd be a good idea to go out there, try some salmon is the easy one, or just tuna.
Yep. Okay, but that's all the time we've got. We could probably keep on talking about different types of sushi, but we're out of time. So thanks for joining us today for English for You. I'm Pat.
And I'm Adam.
We'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.
Vocabulary Review.
Skillful. Lionel Messi is one of the most skillful soccer players ever to play the game. Rate. The commercial said that this car has been rated as this year's best model. Wisdom. These books contain the collected wisdom of all our elders from the past several hundred years. Inform. Our teacher informed us that those who failed the test would receive extra homework. Lifetime. My father did many great things in his lifetime, including raising a family and opening a successful business. Spirit. Christy has a caring spirit and really tries her best to look after everyone.
智慧小补帖
Sushi. Chef. Qualified.
以上节目是由活用空中美语制作，活用空中美语杂志，请洽询全国各大书店。如欲索取试听教材，请来电02-2364-4000 02-2364-4000，或上网查询，网址是 www.english4u.net www.english4u.net